you guys love the NFL draft like we do here at Chat Sports, then you have to subscribe. We will be live for all 7 rounds of this year's NFL draft. So before we break down my latest 2024 mock draft with trades, hit that sub button right now. All right, let's go to pick number 1. Oh, shocker, it's Caleb Williams. Yeah, that's a no-brainer. That is not going to change anytime soon. Jayden Daniels, number 2 to Washington. This is kind of where the draft begins. I would not be surprised if it was Drake Maye. I would be surprised if it was J.J. McCarthy. More on that in a little bit. Daniels' mobility, and if we believe the reports about how some teams feel about Drake Maye, maybe he does fall down, quote-unquote fall, to number 3 overall. So Daniels to the Commanders. I might flip that come my final mock draft. We'll see. Drake Maye to the Patriots. You kind of get a good round of lying season. Then you kind of get eventually some better info, but also some lies in the weeks, in the days, I should say, the week leading up to the NFL draft. So I got 3 QBs. 1, 2, 3. Caleb Williams, Jayden Daniels, and Drake Maye. 1, 2, 3. At number 4, let's get wild with it. Let's do a 3-team trade. I got Minnesota jumping up to number 4 overall. They also get a 3rd-round pick via Arizona. Arizona, because I don't think they really want to move away from Marvin Harrison without having a plan. They do still get 3 first-round picks, 5, 23, and a future 1, and they get to take on the biggest win of this trade. The Chargers, they move down because they just want extra assets. They get number 11 and a 2nd-round pick from Arizona, an early one, and a 5th-round pick. Arizona kind of overpays to move back up to number 5. That's to keep their 2nd. They still do it because they get to keep the future 1st instead. So to put it in perspective, all these things here are the net pick values based on the NFL draft trade chart. Minnesota overpays significantly. Now we'll put some stock into hey, I believe the reports of Minnesota getting desperate and the Cardinals want 3 firsts and everything. Cardinals win the trade more than anybody. Chargers still win a decent amount as well. Basically an extra 2nd-round pick to move down. It's Minnesota that pays the premium quarterback tax to jump the Giants and make sure like Denver does not move up. So will a trade happen in the top 5? Y for yes, N for no. It's the pinned comment on this video. So if the ad comes, take advantage and go guess. Y or N. I do think McCarthy feels like a Minnesota Viking when it's all said and done. And I do think his fit in particular in a Kevin O'Connell offense makes a ton of sense for Minnesota. Paying all of that, might not make nearly as much sense. Number 5, Marvin Harrison Jr. Arizona gets to trade down, get assets, and they get Marvin Harrison Jr. Just like they did last year with Paris Johnson Jr., also out of Ohio State, by the way. Giants then, no quarterback, but hey, they get Malik Nabers, and that gives them a legitimate, dynamic wide receiver 1. I think they're pretty happy. Tennessee would love LA to move down so they can secure Joe Alt at number 7. I would be pretty damned shocked if Joe Alt didn't go in the top 7 of this year's draft. Too many teams, especially Tennessee, need a left tackle. Dallas Turner to the Falcons also feels like a pretty darn good fit. They could use some more pass rush help. This would be the first and only player, a defensive player, I should say, taken in the top 12 of this particular mock draft. Number 9, the Bears. Look, they have Keenan Allen. They don't need another wide receiver, but Odunze would be probably the best player on the board. He's going to be a fringe top 5 player for me on my big board. And giving talent to Caleb Williams, probably a good idea. All right, the Jets at 10. How about Brock Bowers here? Now, Rodgers doesn't always like, rookies, but you could use him as kind of your big slot receiver. And because he's not George Kittle, he's not an inline tight end, but as a two-way player in terms of like okay blocker and really good pass catcher, Bowers to the Jets makes a lot of sense for me. The Chargers at number 11, Talise Fuanga out of Oregon State. You want a right tackle and you want to run the ball if you're Jim Harbaugh? This is your guy. Not Chase Edmonds. It's this guy. Luongo, I think, would be a great fit for LA. They trade down. Yeah, they still got to get a receiver. They can get one in round 2. They can address the offensive line like Jim Harbaugh loves to do. At number 12, and maybe he goes 13 to the Raiders instead, I'm going to go with Michael Penix here out of Washington. I don't know where he goes. I could see him going somewhere in this range, 12, 13, maybe 16 to Seattle. If he doesn't go there, I could see him sliding. We've seen guys, we've seen Will Levis slide, we've seen Malik Willis slide relative to what some of the early mock drafts had. How does the medical check out? How do teams feel about him moving outside of structure, being beyond, his drop back, not getting through reads, but doing things under pressure? He does a good job of avoiding sacks, but he had a good offensive line. When pressure gets in his face and he has to move around, then things get a little bit more dicey. So will Michael Penix be drafted in round 1? 1 for yes or 2 for no? Sound off in the comments. If the Raiders don't go QB, or maybe they fall in love with offensive lineman, I think they really like Terron Arnold out of Alabama. So your first 2 defensive players, both Bama products. 14 of the Saints, hey, you need to get help along the offensive line. Tevin Penning's not been very good. Ryan Ramczyk's hurt. I think Washington out of Penn State is a great fit for the Saints. I thought about getting really weird with it and having like the Bills trade up here, and I'm like, no, let's not be crazy here. Let's just take Brian Thomas to the Colts. Another outside vertical threat. You probably move on from Alec Pierce, that's fine. Brian Thomas, Michael Pittman, Josh Downs is a young, talented, impactful trio for Anthony Richardson. Now, Seattle doesn't like to invest in guards. Maybe they can convince themselves that Troy Fautanu different because his offensive coordinator and his O-line coach at Washington are now in Seattle. Some logical connections there, and they need the help along the offensive line. They need to get guard help at some point. Number 17, Quinyon Mitchell out of Toledo to Jacksonville. Corner's a big need. Makes sense to me. J.C. Latham, in many ways, is the archetypal Bengals offensive lineman. Big guy, maybe not the best athlete, but a powerful player. What they like as of late. Number 19, Jared Verse out of FSU to the L.A. Rams. Adding another pass rusher, interior or on the outside, I think is a priority for the Rams, and Verse at 19 is pretty solid value. The NFL draft is all about NFL teams trying to get their next great employee. And when you're hiring for your small business to find your next great employee, you want to find quality professionals that are right for the role. That's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs has the tools to help find the right professionals for your team faster and for free. We have hired a bunch of people here at Chat Sports, including producer Chris, including a new hire and some more you'll hear about in the not-too-distant future. Because LinkedIn isn't just another job board, and they've helped us in that hiring process. They have a vast network of more than 1 billion professionals, which makes it the best place to hire. Gives you access to professionals you can't find anywhere else. LinkedIn does all that while making the process easy and intuitive. Hiring is easy when you have that many qualified candidates. So easy, in fact, that small businesses get a qualified candidate within 24 hours. LinkedIn knows that small businesses, like us here at Chat Sports, are wearing a lot of hats. It's not just on-air stuff. We have behind-the-scenes stuff as well, and I'm involved in the hiring process too. You might not have the time or resources to hire. LinkedIn helps save time and make this process easier for us here at Chat Sports. So post your job for free at linkedin.com/NFL Daily. That's linkedin.com/NFL Daily to post your job for free. Terms and conditions do apply. Steelers at 20, Amarius Mims. I love the upside. I think he is such a very talented player. I would gamble on him even earlier. You get to pair him back with Broderick Jones, by the way, for the Steelers. That's a fun 1-2 punch. Byron Murphy, number 21, to the Miami Dolphins. You want to replace Christian Wilkins? Add an impact 3 technique. Boom, problem solved. Nate Wiggins out of Clemson to the Eagles. Thought a lot about Cooper DeJean here, by the way, as well. But I'll go with Wiggins, who is faster than DeJean, although both guys are impressive athletes. Probably DeJean even more so, more analytic given his size. I think Wiggins is a more fluid man coverage player, though. Liatu Latu to the Arizona Cardinals here. This pick is via Minnesota through Houston by way of Cleveland. 4 times in this mock draft, at least. Pass rush help is, I think, a focal point for Arizona. If Latu's medicals check out, he could go top 10. If they don't, he could slide a bit. He's a wild card in terms of where he actually goes. Dallas at 24. Let's go with Jackson Powers Johnson here. I don't know if he really goes top 25. There are some medical concerns some teams have there. But if you want to find your next good center, I think JPJ has a real argument for being the best one in this year's class. But medicals do have to be vetted there. Number 25 to Green Bay, Cooper DeJean. They do have interest in him, by the way. Some teams will view him as a safety. I do have some man coverage concerns. He's a really good straight line athlete, though. He can tackle. I think there is a role for him somewhere on your defense. Tampa 26. Didn't have a great feel for it, honestly. I'm going to go with the value pick here. I would not be surprised if Graham Barton went even earlier. Like, he could go 16 to Seattle. That wouldn't shock me, frankly. Left tackle at Duke, going to play on the inside, though, in the NFL. By the way, I would love this haul for Arizona. You walk out of the draft with Marvin Harrison Jr., Liatu Latu, and Johnny Newton. I love all 3 of those guys. You're getting an impact 3 technique there, which I know Arizona signed a bunch of defensive tackles this year. I don't care. They didn't sign good ones. Let's get a really good one here out of Illinois. Number 28, A.D. Mitchell. There are some effort, football focus concerns at times for Mitchell. Like, times he just didn't look interested out there. When he's been locked in, he's been dynamic, though. He is a big size, great athlete. The Bills need a number 1 receiver. A.D. Mitchell has number 1 receiver upside. I don't know if Kool-Aid McKinstry will go this early because of the Jones fracture in his foot, but I think that a Nick Saban guy to Dan Campbell makes sense, right? And corner is a need for Detroit. They traded for Carlton Davis and then had to cut Cam Sutton. Tyler Guyton, number 30, at Oklahoma. I want to see him be more polished. I think he needs more work, but left tackle or right tackle upside, and the Ravens love those Power 5 players. Number 31, Chop Robinson out of Penn State. A high upside pick. Kind of like a Dafe Owe, where like this dude's a freak athlete, but you're a great athlete. Why didn't you produce better? Yes, they have Nick Bosa. Yeah, they signed Floyd and Yeturgos Matos. I think adding another early round pick to develop makes sense for San Francisco. Wouldn't be mad at Tyler Guyton either. That would make a lot of sense for Frank. You can flip those picks. I think both teams could have interest there. Jordan Morgan out of Arizona to the Chiefs. I don't love their left tackle spot. I think Morgan could also be a good fit for Arizona too, by the way, or for the Niners, by the way. Not great arm length, but is an athletic player. Could be viewed as a guard for some teams, though. Who did I leave out of my mock draft in round 1? Go ahead and sound off for me in the comment section right now. Before we go, some non-round 1 picks, because Panthers, Texans, Browns fans, I care about you too. I think Ladd McConkey is a great fit for what the Panthers need. They need speed and guys that get open. Ladd McConkey offers that in both areas. Texans at 42. I'd love to find a 3 technique. The arm length concerns for Braden Fisk are absolutely real, and that will raise concerns for teams. My player comp for him is a T-Rex. Big guy, but short arms. Almost 6'4", 292. 31-inch arms are kind of small. The real comp is kind of like a Milton Williams type. In a not great DT class, I think Fisk could go pretty early. And I'll go surprise pick here. How about Patrick Paul out of Houston? Browns have shown some interest in the pre-draft process for tackles. We'll see about Jedrick Wills long-term. Giving Patrick Paul a year to develop and then give him a shot at left tackle is a pretty decent idea, I think. So you can be honest with me, I can take the negative comments. Grade the NFL mock draft here. A, B, C, D, or F. Go ahead and sound off in the comments